welcome to a blockbuster edition of Akau TV. We're nearing the eve of Karaka Million Night, and I know that's the grand final for a lot of these top horses, Mark. How's the feeling going into the weekend?
No, all good, Hamish. There's not a lot you can do now on this close to the race, so all horses are, primed and ready to go. Just have to see if they're good enough on the day.
The barriers have been drawn and the jockeys have been named, so it's all up to them. And you prepared the horses obviously for the grand final day, so it's going to be an absolutely fascinating night of racing. And just quickly before we rip into the Karaka Million, what a week you've had, mate! So the fastest trainer in New Zealand to bring up 100 winners, mate. I'm not sure whether you'd actually be the fastest trainer, but you're the fastest to be able to get those 100 winners.
Yeah, no, it was. The team's been working hard ever since I got home, and full credit. It's I've said it before. There's 3 or 4 of them there that'll make very good trainers in their own right one day. So it's certainly great to have such depth in the team, and it's only really me and Scotty now. The old fellas around, everyone's quite young, but when you that young, you're enthusiastic and you know how to work, that's for sure.
Absolutely. And we'll touch on some of those key team members later. We've gone around the grounds and got a best bet from each of them for the weekend, including the great Scott Lucock as well. So we'll touch on that in a second. And I guess some of the results of the week at Tauranga and those horses that helped you bring up the century, Milli Fiore, Pure Imagination and Fierce Flight, some lovely performances there.
Yeah, so a couple of them, sometimes when the tracks come up wet, Hamish, you rack your brain, should you, shouldn't you? But I'm glad we started some, and we got a couple of wins out of horses that were borderline that we thought might get away with the track, and luckily they did.
Absolutely, and not a bad old day there at Trentham on Saturday. You were there on course. The tale of the 2 bells, Bell on Rouge and Bell of the Ball, Quinella, the Dixon and Dunlop anniversary handicap.
Yeah, it was great to see Bell on Rouge come back to form because her spring form wasn't that great, but we just put it down to the wet tracks. It was just very hard work through the spring, and of course, not only racing on wet tracks, Hamish, but also working on the wet tracks, and I think it just took its toll on a couple of them, but great to see her back. And Bell of the Ball, she'll have a day in the sun as well.
Absolutely. And talking of people in form, Opie's ride on Cognito was amazing. The Magician, good to see him in form going into Karaka Million Night, and of course good to see Cognito come back from the South Island campaign in such authoritative fashion.
Yeah, it was an incredible ride, and Cognito went down to the South Island, and that's why we like having horses there in the spring, Hamish. Some of them just grow another leg their next campaign. They just seem to grow up, mature, and they're just different horses when they come back. So that's partly the reason we love going south in the spring.
Great. Well, without further ado, let's get into the racing action on Saturday. We're going to kick off down the line there at Trentham, which has obviously been a happy hunting ground for you in recent times. So race for the great sensational 1,000 metres. We've got 2 there. Brando drawn barrier 6 and Burgundy Rose drawn barrier 7.
Brando will come out. He won't go down, Hamish. And Burgundy Rose looks to be a nice race for her. She's getting up there in the weights a bit, but she does get a 2 kilo claim on the day.
Great. And race 5, the Castletown 1200, rating 75 benchmark. Pisco Sour there, the I'm Invincible mare for Trelawney Stud, drawn barrier 2 with Kelsey Hannon on board.
Yeah, she's got scratched the other day at Tauranga with the wet track, so she's found the right race, right draw. So as long as she can handle the travel down there, she should be a each-way chance.
Great. And across to Pukekohe Park, do you want to just touch on the conditions that we can expect to see on Saturday there?
It'll be a genuine firm track, probably similar to Boxing Day. They'll water it up to some extent, but I think as the day goes on, it'll get firmer as the night goes on.
Absolutely, and the Big Blue is out in Auckland today, so we can expect more of that in the next couple of days. So 19 runners there across the 6 races. It's a great night of racing action, which we kick off there at 4:09 p.m. in the Collinson Forex Karaka Cup. Quite a competitive wee field there. We've got Soprano Supreme and Illicit Miss.
Yeah, Soprano Supreme probably better on a track that's a bit rain affected, but she does get the distance very strongly. And Illicit Miss was a good winner in the spring at Riccarton over 2,500. So both will run out the trip very, very strongly.
And race 2, the Group 2 Westbury Classic for the fillies and mares, set weight and penalties over 1,400. Imperatriz won the Railway last start. There's no other horses that have won Group 1s in this field, that's for sure.
Yeah, she's $1.40 favourite for a reason, Hamish. She should be awfully hard to beat, even carrying 59.
And down to race 3, the Group 3, Cambridge Stud Almanzor Trophy for the 3-year-olds, set weight and penalties over 1,200. Maven Bell was massive coming back to start her 3-year-old career there at Pukekohe last start.
Yeah, she was. Obviously, this is a better field, and just that slight query sometimes, Hamish, when a horse has had a long layoff and they run such a fantastic race first up, sometimes second up, it just a little bit, that freshness is gone, and it's a 2-week turnaround. I'd prefer 3, if not 4 weeks, but this is the right race. So that's just the slight query there, and obviously a little bit of a tricky draw.
And of course, you've got the 2,000 guineas winner up the top of the book there as well. And the next runner, Bellamio, she's enjoyed getting her toe into the track her last 2 starts, where she has come up trump son both times. He draws barrier 8 with Joe Cameron on board.
Yeah, he's quite a promising horse. He was a horse that Dave bought at the Ready to Runs, probably under value, and he's starting to put it all together. So deserves this chance, but this is quite a step up from what he has been doing.
I choose you, John Barrier 10 with Warren Kennedy on board.
Yeah, just probably hasn't quite recaptured her 2-year-old form, but she was another one down south in the spring, so hopefully that holds her in good stead. This race suits because it's a sprinting 3-year-old race.
Grayson Gray there, John Barrier 9. Craig Grills takes them out.
Yeah, I'd love to get some black type for her. Gee, she's been unlucky. She just got a bit of a travelling bug when she went to the South Island. So, no, she's a genuine chance.
And of course, she was near favourite in the 2-year-old race last season and unfortunately didn't make it to the race. So she's one that would really deserve black type, as you mentioned, on this evening. And finally, Sans Duke there, really impressive. This horse is one of the better maideners going around before her last start win there. Jaws Barrier 12 with Michael McNabb on board.
Yeah, it's hard to believe with the runners we've got. They've all drawn the outside gates in this race. So going to need a little bit of luck because, yeah, we've got great respect for Pierre. So, no, Sans Duke, she ran second in the Gold Trail in the spring, so she's a high-class filly.
And race 4, the listed Double Tree by Hilton, Karaka Million 2-year-old. This is the showcase event, over 1,200 metres under set weight conditions. 7 there lining up, Mark. It's a fair few to have floating around in the race, and a massive achievement by you and the team to get that many there.
Yeah, as I say, everyone has been working very, very hard, and especially Sam Burgesson. You hardly see him ever take a day off, but it was his birthday yesterday, so I finally persuaded him to have an afternoon off to spend with his mother and sister. So, no, we're pretty proud of having 7 in the race, and full credit to Dave. He's trying to go for 7 consecutive years of buying the winner, and you try and find anywhere in the world a major race that the same person's bought 7 consecutive winners, or even 6. It's some achievement.
Unheard of, absolutely. And his buying record is second to none, and he will be busy trying to find the next one in a couple of weeks' time, in about 10 days' time. So we're going to kick off here with the favourite up the top of the book. OP selected to ride this one after the barrier draws there on Wednesday, where he was tossing up between the one we'll talk about in a second. But Trobian, colt by Kermadec, very professional, this horse, hasn't been beaten, draws barrier 6 with OP Boston on board.
Yeah, he's just a genuine racehorse. He's very laid back, Hamish. You track work, you don't really get a line on him, and you see him race day, he's just so laid back. He's just the perfect racehorse. But the main thing is he knows how to win. He's 3 for 3, comes off a great stud farm in Windsor Park, so he's got a lot going for him.
And he's got the man on board in OP Boston as well, so that obviously helps. The second horse there in the book is No Mug himself. He hasn't been beaten. He's by Satono Aladdin, Tokyo Tycoon, draws barrier 14 with Craig Zaki on board.
Yeah, I must admit, when the draws come out, I felt a bit deflated for him. But anyway, there has been winners of the Karaka Millions from wide draws, so obviously he'll just have to sum it up, Craig, how he jumps, and you will need luck, though, from that draw.
Absolutely. And the next one flashed home last start. He's got the siren over his head, and number 4, Taliska, draws barrier 7 with Sam Weatherly on board. Sam, of course, won the 3-year-old race with Pin Me Up last year.
Yeah, we've had a big opinion of the Embellish progeny right from day one, and this is a son of Embellish. And even though he's a maiden, he's just got a sense of timing about him, Hamish, so I think he'll run very, very well.
Number 5 there, Balance of Power, the colt by Al Manzor out of Respin, $300,000 purchase by David Ellis. Draws wide there, but his work there at the Breakfast with the Stars, or the track gallop there at Pukekohe on Monday was up to the mark, I thought. Draws barrier 15.
Yeah, so he's a back marker anyway, so the draw's probably not as much as a disadvantage, and if they really crack on up on the speed, he'll be getting home strongly. But I think a horse will be better suited eventually to races like the Manawatu Size Produce and the Champagne Stakes. But he deserves his chance, and he'll get some of it.
Believe in Magic, number 9 there with Vinnie Colgan on board.
Yeah, really tough filly. There's not a lot of her. She's really compact, nuggety sort of filly, but she's got valuable black type already. She's Group 2 place, and if anything, she'll improve off that run 2 weeks ago, Hamish. And that form race out of counties is normally pretty strong.
Absolutely. And Rhetorical there, drawn barrier 10, had some early season success down south there. She draws barrier 8 with Sam Spratt on board.
Yeah, she ran really well at Riccarton in the spring, and we just were a bit behind the 8 ball, and she just came to the end of her run on Boxing Day. So she's improved a lot fitness-wise, so you couldn't discount her. One for the dollar each way, longer shot punters.
And the last one there, number 14, She Turns Heads. She's raced by a gaggle of female owners, or a female-only syndicate led by Karen Fenton Ellis, and I believe they've got an exciting lunch planned tomorrow in the lead up to the $1 million race. She doesn't not deserve her chance to be there. She's run second to, I guess, the horses at the top of the book on her last 3 starts.
Yeah, and she's got a lovely barrier draw as well. So, she ran second to the horse that beat us last Saturday at Wellington. So the form's pretty strong, and she's going to get the softest run in the race.
Absolutely. And if you are a female owner and you're interested in joining up with Karen and her gang of girls, which I'm sure they'll be looking at running a female-only syndicate again this year at Karaka, then feel free to drop her an email and show some early interest, because I'm sure they'll have plenty of fun out there. Mark, what do you reckon?
Oh, I'm picking their wool. Yeah, she'll be in it somewhere in the race, and they'll be making a lot of noise, and they'll have a good day out regardless.
Absolutely. The next race there, Race 5, the Group 3 Bright Hill Farms Yearling Concord Handicap, Open Handicap over 1200. Again, two performers there on Boxing Day. Synchronise obviously won the race, but if you go back and watch Fashion Shoot's run, she missed the start and flashed home in behind horses there to run 5th. Two nice chances low in the weights there, Mark.
Yeah, hard to split them, and this time round, Fashion Shoot's got a pretty good draw compared to Synchronise. Obviously, the weights are more compressed this time. There's not the weight differentials between them because of the top weight, but they're both going really well. They went to Tauranga for a gallop last Friday. We couldn't be happier with them. Very hard to split.
Absolutely. And moving down to the final $1 million listed event of the evening, race 6, the listed Karaka Million 3-year-old Classic. You've had a lot of success in this race, obviously, with Pin Me Up last year and, of course, Embellish and Probabile. Some great names there for the stable. We've got two nice chances here. Wild Knight draws barrier 2 with Opie Boston on board. He's been a bit of a star this week. He had the TV1 news cameras out there earlier in the week, and he's been going toe-to-toe on track work with Legato, I understand.
Yeah, they've worked together at Tauranga, and they worked together Wednesday again, so he's had a really touch wood, a trouble-free prep, and I think the mile will suit him. He's drawn well. But I don't think the chances in with Legato and Wild Knight. There's another couple there. I think the 3-year-olds in particular this year, they're strong. They will measure up in Australia, I'm sure of it. But we're very happy with Wild Knight.
Absolutely. And of course, Dynastic there ran a credible third on New Year's Day. He'll be in it as much as he can as well.
Yeah, look for him better suited to the Derby prep when he's going 2000, but he'll still run a nice race. But just whether he can foot it, I think they're going to be running some time by that time of the night, Hamish, and I just don't think he's probably a 133 horse. But look for him once he gets to the Derby, the son of Almansour.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for taking us through those, Mark. Much appreciated. And I know everyone will eagerly be awaiting your best bet. But before you give that, I've done a bit of a ring around and spoken to a couple of the key team members to get theirs. And no surprise, there are a couple of, I guess, timid ones, Reese being one of them, that have selected Imperatriz on top at the $1.40. So he's selected that alongside Hunter Durant and, of course, Karen Fenton-Ellis. Hopeful that you won't be going down that same route, but we'll wait and see. Outside of that, I couldn't get in touch with Sam Burgesson. He's obviously been busy on the blower today. Well, not on the blower. He's probably been busy out in the stable and he hasn't had a chance to look at his phone. But Scott Lucock he's tipped Wild Knight. Nicole Shayler, Maven Bell. Julia Rose Ellis, Wild Knight, and David Ellis, interestingly, going outside the favourites in the 2-year-old race to tip the Embellish horse Taliska at a bit of value. Who have you got for us, Mark?
Well, obviously, Imperatrice is the obvious one, but I'll go for longer odds. So of course, Fashion Shoot was dead unlucky last start. So Imperatrice is, but if you want a bit of value, anyone watching, go for Fashion Shoot at generous odds.
Absolutely. Well, there you have it. Fashion Shoot there in race 5 from Mark Walker. But please bet responsibly. It's a big turnover evening, and these are horse races at the end of the day, and funnier things can happen even with short pops as well, right, Mark?
Definitely.
Well, thanks for your time, Mark, and obviously good luck for the Saturday night ahead. I'm sure you'll be eagerly anticipating, and it'll be a bit tough to sleep the next couple of nights.
When you got a 3-year-old, Hamish, you get sleep when you can, but look forward to having a cold one with you after the last on Saturday.
Absolutely. And of course, the Karaka sales are just around the corner there. Dave bought some really nice horses there at the Magic Million sale. Any that have caught your eye in particular that he's purchased over there?
I thought there was some crackers there. I particularly loved the Written Tycoon filly. She was one of my favourites. And one I thought was great value was probably the Exceedance filly. She looked pretty smart, I thought, especially at the price.
Absolutely. Well, we'll do it all over again in 10 days' time at Karaka, and I'm sure you guys will all be out there with vested interest. You've been busy looking at the catalogues and the stud farms, and we'll be doing it all over again then, and trying to find our next crop of horses to be racing this weekend for 12 months' time. So thanks for your time, Mark, and we'll catch you again next week, mate.